What up? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And look at you. You done stumbled upon little OTB Saints, where we bring you all the latest black and gold coverage.
Who are the Saints going to draft? Who's going to be their quarterback? What does the salary cap look like? All that information and more.
Hope you enjoy it. Like, subscribe. Nick Underhill from neworleans.football, an elite website. If you love the New Orleans Saints, member of the Who Dat Nation, you want to know what's going on. Nick is incredible. I'm a proud subscriber. Have been for many, many years. And, well, Nick, yesterday, we were treated to maybe one of the most gaslighty press conferences I've ever witnessed in my entire life. I mean, Taylor broke it down earlier, but I don't know if it's a reading the room thing. I understand that everything that Mickey Loomis said yesterday, he believes, but my God, that press conference gave me erectile dysfunction, Nick. I don't know. You have a more measured approach to these things generally. I thought that was a god-awful train wreck of a press conference.
Yeah, I mean I've never heard of a press conference causing erectile dysfunction.
Yeah.
So I mean that's
crazy.
That's amazing. Like that's amazing. All right, I gotta get on the other side of that because that was like the wildest thing I've ever heard in my life.
I know my
Oh
penis
my
doesn't
God.
work, Nick, because
Oh my
of Mickey
God.
Loomis. Imagine that. That's how bad it was.
Dear God. I mean, look, if like if you were upset going into it, like you became more upset, no doubt about it. Like
Yes.
there was no, I think in like the 41st minute or whatever, like there was kind of like like of course we know like things are wrong and we got to be better and we got to look at everything. I think if that was said in the first minute and that was like maybe the first thing that was said coming out, like I think it takes on a different tone, but. Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of, it's all good here and we're going to figure it out. And I think a lot of people are worried about how they're going to figure it out. And there really wasn't a conciliatory tone or whatever. And I think that's probably what people wanted to hear. My feel on it was probably just a little like this was exactly what I expected because this is how every one of these have been forever. So it wasn't like surprising to me. I do know, like, behind the scenes, like there is a different process taking place. Like, I think there's more heads at the table, more minds at the table. You kind of hear how things are working behind the scenes. So it's like, whatever over here. To me, ultimately, like, they just have to hire the right coach, make all the right roster moves, and make all the right draft picks.
That's it.
Like, and I don't give a damn, like, really what Mickey's saying, like, now, because if they get all that right, like, it's fine later on. And if it's not good, then we probably don't hear Mickey in another one of these press conferences again. Like, this is kind of the last stand here, I think, and they have to get it right. And if they don't get it right, he gets fired. Like, that's just kind of where you're at. You don't get to do this. You don't get to do this a third time. So ultimately that's what matters. But yeah, I don't think that press conference was good. I don't think it won anybody over. And, I think some of the tone of it was probably wrong. Like, people just want to feel like, hey, like, we know this sucks and we know, like, your life is better when the Saints are good, and when they aren't good, that's on us. And we're taking this extremely seriously because you invest your time, your money. So much of the economy here is built around it. No one knows that more than me. Sure. I think all that like matters. And it's not set up there. And I think that pisses people off. And it's just kind of, you kind of want to hear something a little bit different. And that was not a win yesterday for the organization.
Well, I think where it becomes frustrating, Nick, is maybe they are doing the right things behind the scenes. But as a fan, you want to be able to trust that, but you can't when seemingly the person can't admit there's a problem. And there were a couple of quotes that were exceedingly ludicrous to me, one of which the one where he's basically like, I know the results aren't good, but it doesn't mean we're not doing things the right way. But I understand how you can talk your way out of that. Probably the craziest is the answer about draft picks.
Oh, yeah.
Where he's like, everybody would love more. I would love more draft picks. Like, no. That's a lie. That is a flat out lie that you're throwing out there like you're on the side of everybody else that agrees that more draft picks are better, when in your entire tenure, nobody's traded up more, nobody's drafted less, nobody's given up as many draft picks. So it is the biggest disconnect between what he's trying to throw out there verbally and what he's actually done in his tenure.
Oh, I thought you were going to take a different quote about the draft picks. The one that kind of drove me the most nuts was the no, we're good at drafting.
Oh yeah,
no,
yeah,
you aren't. No, you aren't. You haven't been good at drafting in what is it going on 7, 8 years now? You have not been a good drafting team since 17. Like I know 17, like that was a great, amazing draft, but there is one player left from that draft class, and you haven't added Pro Bowlers since then. The one you have added. Eric McCoy's missed 19 games over the last 4 years, and great player, but like you need more guys like that. That one kind of really threw me off. And yeah, I mean, look, I don't know if what they're doing behind the scenes works. Like I just know a couple of things have changed a little bit. You know, like they got Dave Ziegler in there and Randy Mueller and Michael Parrott. Like all these guys are I think much more involved in this coach search than they were in the last one. And even to the point where it's like you hear that some people like one candidate and other people don't, and it's like, well, we don't know who's going to be, the people we like here until we get them at the table because this guy's never met them and that guy's never met them, and I think if it was like a single-headed process, like Mike McCarthy would probably be the head coach right now, and I don't know that it's going to play out like that, just because I think that there is a listening to everybody at the table, which is good, but. Like the better thing here would have been like our drafts have not been good enough. So like we're going to change some things in our process here. And we're going to look at like all these measurements that we were looking at before and see how we revalue them and try to do, we've been working on a 6-month study to understand like why the guys we draft are so injury prone or like things like that. Like that's just kind of what you want to hear. And there's none of that. There's no, we won 5 games and for the New Orleans Saints, that is not worth it. And, we know that we need to get a better return on our investment on everything we're doing. Like just anything like that, just come out and say that. Even if you're sitting in your office and you say like, yeah, it was the injuries and we know we built a good team and everybody else is wrong and we're going to wait it out and we're going to prove everybody wrong. When you go to that podium after the season, just say something that just to like have the awareness just to say, hey, like let's just have the messaging here to calm everybody down, and we'll do what we got to do behind that messaging, but we're just going to say what we got to say. At least have the intelligence to do that. And like that's the thing I find a little bit frustrating is that, but look, that's just how it's always been.
They don't care how the fans feel about it.
I think they do care, but like, yeah, it is. And like, this is just how I think every one of these has gone forever. And when they were a good team and, we would sit in the little, the media room after and be like, man, like, I don't understand, like, why. But, like, nobody else was noticing because things were good and nobody was looking. Like, so it's not like it can't work. But, yeah, in these times, like, it's just have a little bit of a softer touch. Like, hey, look, like, we know you spent all this money on season tickets, and it's not okay that you only got to watch, a couple of wins at home. And it's not okay that we haven't been a good home team for the last 5 years. We understand that. You're spending your money to come here, it's got to be better. Like, that's it. Like, just say that.
Nick, what's your faith right now? Like, after knowing and hearing and kind of laying out the candidates, what's your feeling right now? What kind of faith do you have that the Saints are going to make the right move at head coach?
I think I'm like in a just like idling and neutral. Like it could go either way. I think. I mean, I understand how the last process led them there, and I understand that it was a disaster. And I would hope that there's been some lessons learned about like why that didn't work, even beyond the process of like maybe not identifying the shortcomings of Dennis Allen. I would hope that there's been some looking at that, and I think there has to be like. Okay, you hired a head coach who wasn't a great leader, and you can do that. You can hire a coach that's and the strength is X's and O's, and maybe isn't the great setter of culture and accountability, police and all that stuff. But like, if you're going to hire that type of person, which would be probably like like they aren't going to interview Ben Johnson. But if you're hiring a Ben Johnson, like I think you have to know that. All right, we need to put a Dan Campbell type next to him to kind of handle all this other stuff. And I think that was the downfall with DA is that they didn't maybe identify his shortcomings. And I thought that was exemplified no greater than at the end of last season when Mickey had to go down and be the person to give him the speech on, getting the culture back and all that. Like, if somebody else is having to do that for the head coach, that means you have a hole on your staff, and that should have been filled for 3 years. And like it wasn't. So I think going, I think if they do an honest audit of those failures, like there should be some lessons learned from that to where, okay, this is what we have to do going forward. I would hope that's kind of how it plays out. But I think I'm sitting in neutral right now. Like I could see it going either way. It feels like there should be a decent candidate here. If it's, there's like if AG falls through, I think that's probably. The thing is it's so much more beyond just the coach, though. Like, I don't know that I have a lot of faith in the coach surviving 3 years right now. That's kind of the thing. Like, even if you get the right hire, like, is it possible to build it back in that amount of time? And I guess like where I get a little bit worried is it feels like it's just going to be a lot of hanging on. And I think you can probably hang on and be competitive for another year, but then where are you at the year after that or the year after that? And, are you going to draft better? Are you going to, do all the things you got to do to be successful? Like, I think it just goes so much beyond the coach. Like, they have to nail the coach pick, obviously, but like, there's so much that I think you got to do to build this team back. And I don't know. Like, again, like, I think you can probably try to be competitive next year, but then in 26, like, where's Cam? Where's DeMario? Where's Tyron? Where's Alvin? Where's, are you still paying Derek Carr? Then I would hope not. Like, there's just so much that they got to figure out. And the totality of it, like, I think it can all get figured out, but does it get figured out within the window and within the path? Like, I don't know. Like, to me, like, if I was running it, like, I would probably want to do like the 2-year teardown and kind of start rebuilding it back up. And I don't go, all the way to the studs. Like, I don't believe in that, but like, I would probably usher out the quarterback, take that hit, be a terrible team next year, and then try to regroup from there. And, I think Derek Carr is probably a better quarterback than Sam Darnold, but like, what's the difference? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not aiming to win 10 games and lose in the first round of the playoffs. Like, it's great when you're the Saints to look at the Bucs and be like, damn, I wish I was the Bucs. But if you are the Bucs and you're looking at the Steelers, you're like, yeah, damn, I wish I was the Steelers. But if you're the Steelers, you're saying, damn, chasing 10 wins and not being able to win a playoff game for 6 years in a row is a pretty shitty, is a pretty terrible, place to exist.
Yeah.
So, it's a noble goal when you aren't there, but then once you achieve it, is it really a noble goal? And, I think the knowledge there is it feels a little hollow. Like, so I don't know how you get to the other side of that, but I don't know if like just trying to hang on and become the Bucs and hoping that turns you into the Steelers is the way to be. Like, because if you're the Steelers, what's your way of getting there? Like, you're taking a shot at Kenny Pickett, and it's not going to work. Like 99.9% of the time, it is not going to get you there. And I don't know what the answer is, honestly. It's tough. Like, it's a tough place. It's a tough place to be if that's your goal is to win 10, make the playoffs, and hope something happens every year. Because at some point the quarterback matters, and Sam Darnold is not going to win you a playoff game, and Derek Carr probably isn't either if you don't have like this amazing structure on him. And I don't know how you put amazing structure around the quarterback who costs $50 million. Like, if you need to elevate your quarterback to that level, like, it's got to be someone on a rookie deal, like, because they need 3 wide receivers, they need elite offensive linemen, they need an elite run game to hide them from it. Even look at Jordan Love. Like, you have to go out and get Josh Jacobs to try to hide him, but then you get into the playoffs and Josh Jacobs gets taken away, and now Jordan Love, who's paid $55 million a year and probably doesn't have a $55 million arm, gets exposed and you can't win a game. Like, you have to have the right quarterback if this is the way you're going to go. And I don't know how you get it if you're aiming to be a 10-win team picking in the 20s every year.
Nick Underhill, neworleans.football. Wow, just amazing black and gold takes right there, Jake.
I don't think I've ever heard any takes that are better than the two guys that just gave you that take.
And you can keep getting them by going ahead and liking, subscribing, ringing the bell to get notifications when we post. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next OTB Saints.